Hey, how you do? It's Dan McDonald from regenerateyourlife.org, and I'm going to make a quick announcement before I start this video. April 14th with Dan McDonald and Lou Corona is a free seminar, introduction. April 14th. I'll put a link down below for that. That's going to be in Los Angeles, California. And that following weekend, we'll be following it up with a food class and a workshop so you can get a better handle on the raw food concept and how you can use it to improve every area of your life. And that's why I have Taffy with me today. Some of you know who Taffy is. I think we did a video maybe a month ago.
Right.
About that?
Yeah.
Cool. And so we're just really wanting to inspire. Now, many of you know through your own experience that raw foods is very transformative. But I don't think we can have enough of these types of videos in order to help people to really get a handle on the benefits of changing your lifestyle when it comes to diet. Agree?
Agree.
So you've got a little bit of a list there.
I do have a list, and first of all, I don't remember. Oh, okay. So we met about February 1st.
February, March. Oh, so almost 2 months ago.
Almost 2 months ago. And I was 143 pounds.
Tell us, baby.
Okay.
How has the Life Regenerator brought the light into your life?
I was 143 pounds. I was foggy. I was tired. I was having digestive issues. I was constipated. I had been on some antibiotics, and for 6 months later, I couldn't find anything that would help. Different lower bowel tonics, nothing really seemed to help. I was having urinary tract problems, my bladder.
Just dribbles.
Well, yeah, just running to the bathroom all the time. Couldn't seem to hold my urine, which, you know, is kind of embarrassing to talk about, but that's what was happening. My emotions were unstable. I had some relationship problems, and I met you at the Ashland Co-op, and something just sparked right there, you know, the magic, and I decided to go completely raw, and I have since then. And I've been sleeping well. I was beginning to develop sleep apnea. I was waking up in the middle of the night and just trying to catch my breath, and it was very scary.
Sleep apnea.
Sleep apnea.
Very common.
And I noticed that when I ate dairy products, it was more happening to me. And so I was trying not to eat dairy products, but when you're trying to eat raw foods and you're eating cooked foods, the cooked foods just kind of, you know, they start dominating. You know, then you eat other cooked foods that you don't want, and breads and dairy, and so it was a real battle for me. And I knew that I really needed to go completely raw. And so I did. I went completely raw. I was 143 pounds, and I had a lot going on around here, just a lot of digestive turmoil. Every time I ate, my stomach was hurting me. And immediately the first week, I lost, gosh, how much was it? It's like...
Wasn't it 7 pounds?
It was
7 or 9.
7
9
or 9
pounds.
pounds,
Yeah, I think you said 9.
And I had mental clarity come back. My digestive system got better, and of course Dan's been making me juices and making good food, which is the best. His food is the most delicious and simplest and least combinations of food, and so when you do eat them, you feel really nourished, and your body can handle what he gives you. And I have to make that plug because it's helped me tremendously to regain my health. And
the simplicity. The
simplicity of putting just a few combination of foods together, but deliciously done. Just really, really good, the combinations.
Yeah, that's why, you know, I mean, that's why I'm happy to have you say that, because I don't think about it so often, but, you know, like I know I got a bit of a talent. I remember Tavis saying, oh, I've never let anybody make me food in 20 years, you know, but I know you know what you're doing, so that was a compliment. Same thing with Lou, just they don't really, you know, they're not just going to let anybody put a bunch of weird stuff together, because it has to be done in a real conscious way, especially like we've got the coconut walnut yogurt over there culturizing on the counter that I'll make a dressing. Well, then you put that on a real simple salad, and it's just,
Right.
you get a lot of aminos, you get the essential fats, all easily absorbable, no digestion problems, you get really nourished. There's a lot of minerals in the nuts and seeds as well. And the greens to help neutralize those. As long as everything is soaked and sprouted and cultured, then it's a whole
Right.
other level
Right.
of digestibility and
And
utilization.
not only that, it adds to the flavor of the foods. Because you're taking off all the residue, and it really adds to the flavor. It's amazing. I didn't really care for walnuts; they were bitter to me.
Mm-hmm.
And now, once my walnuts are soaked, in fact, I didn't eat walnuts. Started soaking them, and they're my favorite nut now.
Yeah. Cool.
They are delicious.
Yeah, when you wash off the bitter tannins. That's why even the nuts that don't soak, like Brazil nuts, which are super high in a lot of minerals, they have those bitter
Right.
tannins. They are acidic in the system and actually leach out the minerals, So it's good to soak everything. Macadamia nuts, they don't sprout either, but soaking them brings them back into a state of a lot higher absorbability because of the water. Water helps absorb.
Right.
So, yeah.
So the other thing too is I was having edema in my legs and my ankles, and leg cramps, because I seem to have some sort of a deficiency in minerals. And
You're not the only one.
Yeah, and so I've been taking drops, but I have to keep taking these drops since I've been on the raw foods. Once in a while I've taken the drops, but I really haven't, it hasn't been crucial. I had to make sure I had them twice a day, or I'd get leg cramps, I would get edema. And it was frightening because I was in the hospital because of that, because of the leg cramps.
Minerals are the key. That's why raw foods are so good. That's why raw living foods, the enzymes in those foods allow for the absorption and utilization of the minerals in those foods. And when they're cooked, you're dealing with, and when you're young, it's one thing, but as you get older, you just don't, your system's not what it once was, and you got to get more and more astute.
You can't get away with things like you used to.
That's right.
And that's what happens. When you're young, you can put all kinds of junk in there and you can get away with a lot. You can really abuse your body, but you start getting older and it starts wearing down. And one day you wake up and you have allergies and you have swollen ankles and you have cramps and you've got arthritis or tendinitis, sluggish, constipation.
Didn't you say you had your head is a lot clearer, mental clarity?
I have mental clarity, and I have this overall feeling of well-being, which is just causing me to be able to further take care of myself, love myself, nourish myself, and love and nourish other people as well.
Yeah, me included. So there's this one lady who's been following me for years. It's stalking is what I call it, because if you get one email a day from somebody, that probably means they really like you. But if you get 10, that's considered stalking. Hello, Marcia. But anyways, she wants to know who's this new thing, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so in case anyone wants to know, this is my mom. And it's also my best friend. And it's also my personal assistant. And we're helping each other, because I had a young mother and she was 16 and there was a lot of issues that have gone on. And so to have someone around like Taffy is really, really healing for me in a big way, because all of my friends can see, and Taffy too, that I've had a hard time accepting love. So she kept benefiting from being around me with the raw foods, and I've been benefiting around her from her being loving towards me and kind, and that motherly figure, you know what I mean?
It's not hard. He's very lovable.
But it's interesting though, because this is probably with a lot of people with their different childhood dynamics.
Right.
They make a decision, like there might be abandonment or there might be neglect or abuse, and they make a decision and it's deep and it becomes really patterned. that I'm just not lovable. Like, you can love others, you try to earn all this love, and you make all these videos, and you work your butt off, and you pay for everything, you help everyone, and you do everything, and you're just trying to buy love instead of actually, and you may even attract the wrong type of people to sort of, reinforce that belief. So when you get to these higher levels of healing and mental clarity, and then there's blessings of people that come into your
Where
life.
things start coming up, when you get to these higher levels of mental clarity and healing, stuff starts coming up.
That's right, because you ain't on the drugs, and you ain't on the
And
pizza,
you're
and you ain't on the candy
You're
bars.
not only detoxing your body, you're detoxing your emotions, your thought life,
Your brain and your nerves.
You begin to see your negative patterns of thinking, and you want it all to be clean. You want it all to be whole and wholesome and holy, because healing is the whole person.
Yeah, holistic. So we come to the point in our journey where we say, there's one thing that needs to be done, and that is to find the love that you are inside
Right.
yourself. And I like to call it the kingdom of heaven within you, just because that's a good way for me to reference it. There's a magic and a light, and it's eternal and infinite, and it's an infinite source of all that is good and pure. And
Right.
then welcome to planet Earth with your karma and your family and all that. But as a soul, you can either say, I can bust through this debris, these patterns, and create new ones and process those old ones and say, wait a minute. And you can come to a place where you can realize that you are lovable.
Right.
And let's be just DTM straight up, heart on my sleeve. I'm in the middle of that.
Right, and so we are transformed by the renewing of our mind, by our thinking, our thought life, by the things that we tell ourselves, by the way that we look at life, by the way that we look at our relationships and other people in the world and their actions and their reactions. If our perspective is love and understanding, what everyone else is doing around us is not going to be
Right.
affecting and stumbling and hurting us.
We can see the whole world is full of people that are in
Right.
pain.
And somehow we can rise above it. We don't have to be pulled down into...
Or criticize them or judge them or feel slighted.
Right.
But that's our ego.
Right.
It's like, oh, this person did this or this person did that. But if you look at a deeper level, like during water fasting or the clarity that comes from simple, basic, raw foods, you'll see, oh, I actually attracted that and, played it out. You were involved in it. Because there's no time in your life when you can't walk away from something, someone, or change your thought process around it.
Right.
So the responsibility levels that come with true healing, you don't meet that many people on earth. No offense, I hope you're one of the people that can take 100% responsibility, because it's tough.
Because we create our situations. We don't have to stay in them. We may tell ourselves we do. We may tell ourselves we have to stay in this relationship with this person because we're attached to them and we love them and we need them. We depend on them. But once we start telling ourselves, this is toxic, I don't need this, I'm creating
You're
this.
speaking from experience.
I'm enabling this whole situation, and it's my fault. And I'm actually training this person.
Or your responsibility to make
Right.
different choices.
It's my responsibility.
Regardless of social
Right.
programming. It's like, how could you leave? Or
Right.
divorce is a sin and all this. But you're like, yeah, but like being miserable
Right.
and unloved, that's an even bigger sin on your soul.
Right.
Just because you're operating out of those patterns of what you saw from your parents, it could be dysfunctional as all hell, and then you just re-attract that to live it out. And there's so much healing. And the mental clarity from the raw foods, like for me, it's like that's been the key. I'm pretty clear dude with my mind and my stomach and all that. So I'm behind the scenes here. Y'all ain't even really seen me in like the last year or two as I've been really just, holy crap, the self-worth stuff. And then, it was like the Durian Rider dude and all his little minions over there just, whoa. And it was like, I wasn't ready for that because that ain't how I roll. I don't do criticize because that's not right because you don't even know who's been through what. So that just knocked me down, and I really had to start facing all that. And then to get back up on YouTube, I've just been kind of going through the motions for my business, for my kids. But the spirit of the Life Regenerator, he's reviving that because everything came from a place that wasn't the kingdom of heaven within, that wasn't the self. So really, if you want to know what I'm up to and what I think the truest healing is that is really, really learning how to love yourself. And I didn't do that, and then it's like we call it the donut hole. And the world is out there, I did it. We smoke, drink, sex, party, gamble, food, anything to avoid the fact that there's this gaping hole in our heart left by, about 50% of the people had decent parents and have a secure heart space. So that leaves the rest of, at least in America, according to, that's just a generalization, but about 50% of the people are insecure, didn't feel loved, didn't have a solid attachment figure. And so there's this yearning, and you just try to fill it up with everything else. But then the day comes where you got to put on the brakes and you realize, okay, I can't smoke it away, I can't drink it away, I can't hump it away, I can't gamble it away, I can't work it away, I can't exercise it away. Even things that people think, Because I know when I was doing the bodybuilding, that was not because I wanted to be healthy. That was because I wanted to find something to fill up the hole.
Right. And, when I started on my journey to health, I went to the Optimum Health Institute, which is, a health and detox center, and that was my first real big.
When was that?
That was about 5 years ago. I'd been trying to be raw, and I went for 2 weeks to the Optimum Health Institute, and it was awesome. We had foods, we had lectures, but the key for me there was learning about truly loving myself, which I had never heard.
That was at the beginning of your journey once you were free.
Once I was free.
And that's like sounds like the first thing you did.
Right.
Was it?
When I walked out of there, I was elated because I found an answer that I had been looking for, something that I needed. Because
Self-love.
Self-love. Because I had been through some things, and I was, just
been through some things? It's a big something, mama. We're lucky to still be here.
And I was trying to get up off the floor and walk again, and it was beautiful because it was in my head, this thought of loving myself, because what I had thought before that was, who am I? I don't even know who I am. I really didn't. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what my gifts, my talents, I didn't know how I thought about different things because I had been in a long relationship, and it can get to where you start seeing yourself through another person's eyes, and you're wondering, am I really that person? Am I really that bad? Am I this? Am I that? And you get confused and you get lost within yourself. But
yeah, like the
right, and so
just like what's it called? Just when they are just judging you, criticizing.
Right.
But it's more like you're just their dumping ground.
Right.
For their own unresolved, because they don't want to look inward,
and they don't want to resolve things.
Right, because that takes the courage. That's what I'm saying. There's a few champs on earth, but a lot of people will take the wide road that leads to nowhere, and they just leave this place like we always have a joke, in a trailer, by yourself, fat, with a dog, smoking a cigarette, eating a TV dinner. Because you couldn't do the work. That it's like there's that narrow road that leads to life, and it ain't easy, right?
And when you begin to see that it's all about loving yourself, because it is the King of the universe lives within our hearts, and so if we love God, and we love God in ourselves. We love ourselves, and then we find our passion, and then we see our gifts, and then we can be who we're called to be in this world and do the things that we're called to do. We're an open channel of love to give to others, to nurture others. And I just want to say, when I was growing up, my relationship in my family, my parents, was not very well, not very good. And but in my early 20s, I had a mom and dad that just kind of came along, people that I knew at church. They just became my mom and they became my dad. And I had several people as the years went by that just mentored me and loved me like I was this sweet little girl. And it's awesome. I look back and I see that, and it saved me. It really helped me because they saw things in me that my parents didn't see. They saw things that my parents didn't encourage. And not to put my parents down, because they did the best they could. They didn't know.
Right. That's the thing.
Really,
I mean, you got to make peace with that. That's what I've been doing. Like,
right. Yeah, they didn't know what they were doing.
Everything just gets passed on.
Because they had all their own stuff they were dealing with, and who knows what they went through as children. You know, I know my parents had a hard time. I don't know.
I'm just going through that now. As far as like, I remember my grandpa, some of you would remember that video when I was 16, my grandpa was like, Danny, you're real smart and you can do anything you put your mind to. And I was just like, I remember just what hit me like, that was like gold in my ears. And I just clung to that statement for years, you know, and that changed me. But it wasn't until I was like 16 and already kind of strung out. Mm-hmm. For a couple years on drugs. Started at 14 and just rolled all the way till, you know, just a little bit ago, right before I started the YouTube. So I went from like the drugs and alcohol to fill up my hole. Then what I realized is that then I went straight to the YouTube, and it was like the fame. I mean, I never really reached anything but B+ celebrity, but going around the country and all these people and all these women and stuff. Ooh, what's up, life regenerator? And a couple times I did a little bit of something, but then I was like on the beach in Santa Monica, and I was just like, I'm gonna take the high road on this one, because I knew there was these other raw food celebrities that took the low road with the women and the fame, and I was just like, I'm gonna take the high road, and that changed me. And then I kind of made another mistake, and I felt so bad. I said, no way, dude, I'm cutting it off. I'm not doing this. I'm not taking the fame and messing with these girls no more. And then I just got clean and clear, and then after that, and so, but that was, again, the fame, trying to fill up the emptiness, you know what I mean? And then you just get to a point where...
Well, there's a lot of famous people that didn't live very long, and the fame didn't help them.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be real with the spirit, the
right.
spiritual journey. And the enlightenment, which I did get off track for a minute there, but awareness brought me back, because you want to feel whole and healthy and complete, and so you have to face these self-worth type issues. You know, you just got to get in there, because it's down deep at the core of your amygdala. And then if somebody, like if on YouTube, like that's why you saw me all these years with the drama, it just affected me, because it was already, you had that coming, you know, mama didn't love you and daddy beat you down, you know, and so you're like that, and everybody's on the YouTube, and you're selling pig balls and, you know, pig antlers and all this stuff, and you're just like, whoa, it's like all a lie, and it affects you, because you're like, how could people, you know, believe this shit, you know what I mean? But they believed it, and then it just became this thing, and I was really worried about it, because I was like, wait a minute, I'm pristine, I believe in the raw food thing, and I never even did do any of these things, you know. So after that point, it really kind of got my confidence down. But now I'm more like Zen. I'm not the life regenerator that I was before. I still have a lot of that, but I don't need to be so what I used to be.
I think you're evolving.
Yeah, into a place where there's real power.
Right.
Where I can see my enlightened friends like Taffy, or my friend Zach, or my friend Sunny, or my friend Zahira, and any other people that they're already way up there, but then when they get around me, at least I have the gift of the raw food thing where I've been thinking about this because it's been a foundation for me to master discipline, but also the mental clarity, because you can eat stockpiles of the gourmet raw that's not combined properly and just have a fuzzy head and avoid
upset stomach.
avoid your what you really need to look at. That's why I like the fasting. You think he's fasting again? Is he fasting because he's not good enough or has orthorexia? I'm fasting because, as you know, and anyone that's fasted, your mind is like bam.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere to run.
Spiritually, you are so in tune with the spirit world. I mean, not in a weird way, but you feel very in tune.
You can look at your
very
stuff.
alive. You can really see. You can see things with a clarity that you've never dreamed you could see before.
And if you have that deeper pain,
right,
and you need to look more deeply, you will be transformed by the
right.
renewing of your mind, and you're like, oh, I didn't even realize I was thinking that way.
Yeah.
You were totally unconscious, and you think you're a conscious being. You think I'm aware, and you're laying on this couch, not this one, but the one downstairs, and you're just going, holy shit, I brought all this stuff to myself. And it's like a thing where you're just like, boom, I'm totally responsible for vibrating at a certain level, which is attracting these things so that the universe is a yes universe. God is a yes God. It just sits there waiting for you to create whatever you want, whether it's what you want or what you don't want. God
right.
says yes.
Knock, seek, and ask, and it shall be given to you.
Whether for good or ill.
Right.
If you believe that you're low self-worth and here's your financial cap is
right.
$7,000 a month and you can't go past that for some damn reason, then that's where you'll be. But if you can renew your mind and renew your belief systems and reprogram the unconscious, that's why, Taffy comes over every day and she nurtures me, like we just role play. Because if you made it this far, you're probably a True Life Regenerator fan and I can get down with you. But when you reach out to someone, because it's like all I ever wanted was my mom to rub my head. And I remember, again, downstairs, again, in the middle of a water fast, I saw my dad as this needy little broken down dude drinking Craigmont Pop, smoking weed, walking around because he walked in on his ex-wife. Oh, this is personal. With his best friend. Well, that'll break you.
Yeah.
And then, after that, then I could see that all I wanted was my mom to just rub my head. And I was angry and so angry. I was just enraged. Like, why can't you love me? And that's what I felt downstairs. And when your mind is clear from the fasting, you can see that stuff it comes up as clear pictures for me, it was on my solar plexus,
Right.
I could see the clear picture of that. And so Taffy just helps me and she plays that role. And so I feel nurtured and I'm calmer because my nerves have been just shot from day one with the childhood thing. And I'm not trying to say I'm a victim. I'm just saying that's why people, they're like, my stomach is clean. My kidneys are filtering. My liver could use some work, and my kidneys too, but there's higher levels beyond anything that you can imagine. And I plan on going there too, because it's a hobby of mine. But, so the health is good, but I'm talking about the brain and the nerves. Because when the fear and the abuse and abandonment, because I know there's a lot of people out there. Some people are shaking their head going, this guy's a mess. I could never listen to him. But there's other people out there, and those are the people I hope to reach out to, that can glean some seeds.
They understand because they know that it's the way it is in this world.
Because they were abused or neglected.
We're all going through it. And something that comes to my mind as you're talking is that we all have an emotional fuel tank that needs to be filled up. And years ago, I read a book. It's called How to Really Love Your Teenager, and by Dr. Campbell. And he talks about how we all have an emotional fuel tank and everyone is different. we all need love in a different way. You can have 3 children of the same family and you love all of them the same. Well, they're not all going to feel love because they all need love in a different
It's
way.
like a love language
So you
thing.
get to know that child, that person, and you see what is it that makes them feel loved and nourished and builds their self-esteem. And that's the kind of love you pour into them. And I really recommend this book for parents and for husbands and wives because we all need to be loved, but we all have certain things. Like you needed your mom to rub your head so that you could
That
feel
was
loved.
it.
How could she figure that out unless she was really in tune with you?
Yeah,
You know,
and if
and
she
just
wasn't in tune with herself,
Right there. And if she wasn't in tune with herself, she had no thought about being in tune with you or
because
anyone else.
her pain, and I know this, pain keeps us from being able to be present because we're focused on our own pain. And I know I look at both my family, both, and then look back too. I mean, same thing, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, the whole thing. So much pain there that how could they be present and awake and aware?
Got a text.
Yeah.
You know,
This is my mom. We're gonna go to LA together. We're gonna go to Hawaii together and
and we got
Do a
3
retreat.
retreats we're doing.
3 retreats. Then we're gonna do a food class, and it's just
We're making food for 2, and the third one is a detox food
Word.
retreat
DTM,
that we're doing.
man.
It's going to be wonderful. If you can make it, please come.
keep your eyes peeled.
I would
My
love
friends,
to meet you.
Taffy and Zach and Zahir, they just, you know,
Some great people, lots of fun.
but they're just, you know, but they all see, like, I was talking to Zach today, they're like, I called Zach and I said, Zach, I'm willing to let your love in. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is another dude. And y'all have met Zach. He's like a light, but he wants to serve me. He wants to be part of the team. And he wants to, like, because some people like that, you know, most people are like, oh, I want to be the head honcho, but I'm not trying to be the head
because
honcho.
their fulfillment comes in serving and uplifting someone else.
I think they see, or my friends, like,
Yeah.
Sonny will come and be like, wow, I want to learn more. Like, Sonny's a raw food chef, and he's got his own restaurant. And he's coming here every day going, wow, dude, you know how to do it. Because I've been doing this for 15 years and had Robert Morris, Lou Corona, Tavis, hundreds of books, DVDs, and just years of experience. Plus, I made all the food for my family. Because otherwise we would have been like hamburger helper, government cheese.
Right.
But I learned how to make like stir fries and pancakes and all this stuff from scratch, you know.
Well, you know something that I learned that I didn't know when I started eating raw foods is that there is raw food, and there is gourmet raw food, and there is gourmet junk food. There's
Raw junk food.
Gourmet raw
Word.
junk food. And it's very complicated to try to be making gourmet raw food, and that's what I thought I needed to do.